Good evening, everybody. I am super excited to be here. If I stumble through my words a little bit, it's beginner's nervousness, because it's my very first time doing this here. I speak in public a lot, but here, putting those two things together is my very first time. So I'm open for questions. If you want to stop me, go right ahead and stop me. We can address it right then and there, because I believe in addressing the question there before we forget it. Before we talk about meditation, I just want to establish where we are with Spiritism so we can find where meditation fits in with Spiritism. It's already there embedded, but let's just find where Spiritism is first. So I'm sure everybody has read or has heard the definition of Spiritism, which is a philosophical science that studies the past and the future of the spirits and the relationship between the physical world and the spiritual world. So let's go to the first part of it that talks about it's a philosophical science. When you say it's philosophical, it invites us to ponder on life and living. It makes us think, philosophical, to be or not to be, things like that. And it's a science, so it's evidence-based. Meditation is in that same way, the same kind of base. It's also a philosophical opportunity for us to ponder on life and living. And it's science-based. It's a new science. It's a new scientific opportunity for meditation, because before, very few people studied meditation. If you look like 30 years ago, if you looked for studies, scientific studies on meditation, you wouldn't find hardly anything. But if you Google it today, it's all there. Because now everybody has an idea that this is important, so there is scientific-based studies that show the importance of meditation in our lives. So yes, it's also a philosophical science, but it invites you to do it from a different perspective. It invites you to be the observer instead of the one that is acting on it. When you think about Spiritism, because we are studying the spiritual world connection to the physical world, the main goal of Spiritism is to know ourselves, because once we know ourselves better, we know how to change things that we don't like or we feel like we can improve. So instead of reacting, we are more on the acting based on how well we know ourselves. Meditation is the same way. The more I know myself, the more I act instead of react, but from a different point of view, because you are more in an observant kind of sit at this point. So you will do everything in a more passive way, in an active listening kind of way. So when you meditate, you look within. And that's when sometimes it's hard, because we're so used to look outside. We're seeing ourselves in the mirror of everybody we see around, and we are not used to looking within. And we know it. From the cognitive point of view, we know we have to look within, but it's kind of hard. And when we try to look, it's kind of overwhelming, because all those thoughts, the chattering is just crazy, and you're like, oh, what do I do now? Because I can't stop to even listen. It's just too much for us to address, because the world is now, everything is happening so fast. All the thought processes that are around us is just keeps you going. Before you stop thinking about one thing, you're already on the next thought, and somebody's telling you something, and your phone is telling you something else, and the radio, and before you know, you have a million trends of thoughts happening at the same time, and you can't quite put them together. It becomes overwhelming. So we are bodies of energy. Are we all in agreement that we are bodies of energy? When we think about an EEG or an EKG, somebody has to go to the doctor and have an EEG done or an EKG done, what is the doctor doing when he's putting you through an EEG or an EKG test? He's measuring the energy in your body. So when you look at that little piece of paper, that's all it's doing. The energy is low or high or low or higher, and that is energy. So if the doctor finds what's wrong or what's right with us during a test through energy, it's because we are the energy that he is observing. He's just observing our energy at that point. So that's when we know we are bodies of energy. And the new syndrome that we have, the syndrome of the century, it's the accelerated thinking syndrome. Everything now is just, everybody is just thinking faster and faster and faster, and we want instant results, instant gratification. So the problem of the millennium is also related to that thinking process that is so fast. We are doing everything Speedy Gonzalez style. So here it is. We are this, and because we are energy, here I am with my thoughts rumbling in my head like crazy. The accelerated process of my thoughts is going crazy. And then I come into a room, and everybody around me are just like me in their own heads. So we all together. And then we have this group of people together. So what happens is everybody's anxious together. There is a togetherness, but in a very intense, chaotic way of thinking. So instead of us listening to one another, when somebody comes to tell you something, and the person will say, oh, I went on a vacation to this place and I saw this, oh, I went there too. And you start telling about what you did when you were there. You don't even give a person a chance to say anything. And then somebody says, oh, I went to the grocery store and they have a great sale on strawberries. Oh, I'm into strawberries because it's great for me. And the person doesn't give the other chance to say anything. All we want to do is vomit our thoughts because it's crowding our minds so much. So every chance we have to bring it out, we'll do so. And sometimes it's with the kids. The kids are doing their thing, and our minds are going crazy. And when the kid says something, you already pour all your stuff into the kids because that's where we are. We are collectively in a very high, intense, accelerated thinking syndrome. So when we walk into a room and we walk into places, we get in that same vibe with everybody else. Guess what? Then we're all there. So my goal is for us to become that person who's going to push the domino differently. When you push the first domino and you're thinking like that crazy, and then the other person too, and the other person too, before we know, we're all crazy together. My goal is for us to look within, get a little chilled, so when we push the domino, we're going to push the domino of less, not more. Less crazy thoughts and more breathing. So that's my goal. If I can instigate your curiosity into doing a little bit more of that and a little less of the talking, I think we've accomplished our goal for today. Another thing that I really want to do is demystify meditation. We all got a pulse going, right? Right now? We all got a pulse. So that has been established then that we are all alive, that we all have energy going. So if we have energy going, we qualify as capable of meditating, because that's all there is. You're just going to work with your energy. Your breath, your thoughts, everything that is energy, you're just going to have a little more, you're going to be a little more skillful in dealing with that. Instead of letting it take care of you, you'll take care of it from now on. That's our goal. Let me just go here first. Is that how we go? Okay, challenged. It's all yours.
Okay, okay. It's too much energy. Okay, sometimes we need to turn it off and turn it back on. And there you go.
Okay. The one that prays speaks. The one that meditates listens. We just talked about this, right? We are very good at praying. Sometimes not praying to ourselves, but praying to everybody. You gotta do it this way. You gotta go there. You gotta do this. Don't forget to do this. Oh, so we always praying praying so others can do things. But the one that meditates is listening. So when somebody comes to us with all their stuff coming out of their mouth and trying to unload, we're just going to be listening a little more, because we're going to be in a state that we can actually absorb what they're saying. Even if it's not for us, just hold the space so they can say it. So we are pushing the domino differently. We are trying to be the one that gives less. So when you put less of your stuff there, you make room for the other person to be a little more. And when that person can be a little more, you deflate the crowd space in the head. That's all we're doing. So this is being compassionate towards others. Sometimes just the fact that you hold the space for somebody else, instead of loading that person with what is in our head, is being super compassionate. That right there, if we can remember that, we are already meditating at a very high level. So meditation is for everybody. But because we all at different levels, I started meditating a long time ago when it was very weird for a teenager to meditate. So I didn't tell anybody. I did it on my own, but I still went to play volleyball and I still went to do what teenagers do. But when I meditated, I didn't talk about it because it's not cool for you to talk. 30 years ago, it wasn't cool to talk about meditation when you were a teenager. Now, it caught up with me. Now I'm cool because everybody is okay with meditation. But the thing is, we all have to meet our meditation journey where we are. If you've done some meditation and you've tried a few things that work for you, that's where you are. Some people that are here might not have ever had a chance to even sit still and say, I can never meditate because I can't sit still. I have good news for you. You don't need to sit still, and you don't need to close your eyes. You can still meditate and do quite well. So this is what we're going to cover today. Not everybody is going to sit for an hour and meditate. That's not what everybody can do. I don't do that. And I meditate other ways. There's plenty other ways to do, and that's what we're going to try to cover today, so everybody will live here with a little tool. We're going to try to put some tools in our bag of tricks today. But because we're trying to trace a parallel between Spiritism and meditation, I pulled a few things from the classic Spiritism literature so we can find where meditation is. The Spirit's book, there's a question that talks about what should we think of the vow of silence prescribed by certain religious groups since ancient times. The long version of the answer is, it's not a good idea. The spirits are saying it's not a good idea for the fact that we were given voice, and we are collaborative beings. So we are supposed to talk, to interact, to discuss, to ponder on life and living together and get more out of it. But one part of that answer also has something that talks about silence is useful because you gather your thoughts when you practice it. Your spirit has more freedom and can enter into more intimate communication with us. So even though being silent as a way of living is not what they're recommending as a good thing to do, they're still saying that there is a big benefit that can come from being silent for a little bit, and for you to gather your thoughts, for you to pull yourself together and be the observer of your thoughts. So that's when the spirits are telling us, yes, silence is a great thing for us to observe, with a purpose for when we interact a little different. So we're not going to be reactive people. We're going to be more active people. We're going to act based on what we know. The book, the Medium's book, talks about when they're trying to develop that ability to connect with the spirits. When we come here and we study and we learn that there is ways to communicate with the spirits if you practice the steps to get there. You have to prep yourself, prep the environment with the right energy so the spirits are welcome to come here if we so deserve of their visit. It's not because we want. It's because it's relevant for them to come. There is a reason for them to come because there is a goal behind it, and we are prepared to receive them. So in that preparation, they talk about the importance of calm and concentration of thought, joined to the desire to succeed in the communication with the spirits. So they talk about you have to be serious and perseverant, sustaining the will to communicate with them without being impatient and without hesitation. So this is about when you're trying to communicate with them, you have to really want to do it, and you have to be disciplined to do it. Here, we're not going to talk about communicating with the spirits, but we're talking about connecting with the universe, connecting with, it's a different proportion, but we're still trying to communicate and connect with the spiritual world. Because the spiritual world is the energy that protects us and guides us in an intuitive way to act instead of react in life. So that's what we're hoping for. So our goal is to be more disciplined in listening, being observant of our thoughts, so we can open the space and hold the space for the spirits to give us that intuition, that sign that we're always looking for. Give me a sign. I say, give me a sign, but my mind is so loaded with so much, there's no room for them to give the sign. So we have so much in there, there is no room for the sign that we so want. So when we meditate, we expand, we make space, we make room for the guidance to come, because we are more open to receiving. So physics, two bodies cannot occupy in the same space at the same time. So something's got to go, so you make room for what you're looking for. So that's how we understand the importance of meditation in a parallel with Spiritism right there. This is a long one. It's in the same paragraph about communicating with the spiritual world. Concentration of thought will happen more easily if you have solitude, silence, and you remove all that distraction that you have in your mind. It's super hard to try to gather your thoughts when there is all this noise going on here, and in the back of your head, you're doing your shopping list and your to-do list for next month, and you were worried about who's going to take care of the dog, and will I have money to pay my mortgage? All that kind of stuff is not very conducive of meditation and relaxing your thoughts. So it's not going to happen overnight, because sometimes I am meditating and I say, did I turn off the lights? Did I close the door? We are human beings, and if I don't close the door, I'm going to have to go there and check again. So, but every now and then, you will do it again. The goal here is practice. They talk about every day you renew the effort for 10 minutes or a quarter of an hour, and that during 15 days, a month, 2 months, however long it takes for us to establish the connection with ourselves, to create the habit so we can establish our relationship with our meditation journey from where we are today. Some of us are a little more anxious than others, right? It's just who we are. Some of us are more social than others. The ones that are social unload a lot more on others. And they are considered sometimes more easygoing and all, but they are unloading all that, the rumbling of the thoughts inside their heads into whoever they talk about. So they're quite okay. But the people who are more introverted and the people that try to keep their thoughts there, sometimes it's so much. It's hard to breathe because there's no room to breathe. The chest gets tight and tight because my head is so full of so much, and I don't share, I don't unload on anybody. Then here I am with all these thoughts, not breathing well, and just putting more and more, because the more I have no control of it, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So today we're going to explore a few things related to unloading that so we can make room for the meditation, for the listening, for the observing of our own thoughts. In that way, our goal is to have more, or we're not going to get rid of thoughts. We're just going to organize and categorize them in a way that we can manage them better. We're not trying to get rid of thoughts because we are thinking beings. We think for a living. That's what we do. But when we know the reason we are putting effort into these thoughts instead of these thoughts, and we can organize and prioritize where we're going, life is easier and we have room for observing. That's really the main goal. Make room to observe. What you call interest, this is the spirits being a little not so nice to us. What you call introspection during reading of your beautiful prayers is to observe a silence that no one disturbs. However, if your lips do not move, if your body is still, your spirit wanders and leaves aside the sublime words that you should say deepest in your heart, resembling you by thought. This is what our goal is, to be silence and not moving lips, sit still. This is the ideal, right? We're gonna find that spot, the Om spot. We're gonna just, everything's gonna be check, 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 check. I am totally here. In the new word now, the word of the day is mindfulness. We are here, being so mindful of where we are, what we do, what we're thinking. But it doesn't always work that way. Your matter, your body, the physical body, observes the silence. Surely to say otherwise would be inaccurate. We are trying super hard to observe the silence. But your chattering spirit does not observe it and disturbs at this moment by your various thoughts the gathered introspection of the spirits that surround you. We think we are still, we are quiet, so we're ready. But people who are looking at us see us very quiet, but in the head, everything is happening. The spirits, the universe is dying to help us. It's dying to give us that sign that we want, to give us the intuition that we're asking for. We just don't make room for it. So the chattering doesn't stop. So the spirits can come. That intuition that you're looking for, that serenity can't come. There's no room for it. So now, the goal of today is to find some ways to do some of that open space, make room for the observant to show up and do the job. Let's start with the first strategy that we can all do. Journaling. Journaling is an excellent way of meditation. We unload, especially if you're not a very talkative person, you write down your stuff. Just the best time to do this, before you go to bed. Unload so you can have a good night's sleep. When I say write, you might want to, even if you want to write things that you don't want anybody to ever see you can write and you can tear it up afterwards. If it's too much that oh God, I don't want anybody to find this, ever. So you can write, unload, tear it up, throw it away. Or you can keep a journal. That is an excellent way to unload your thoughts. Another thing is the to-do list. I personally am a fan of this one. I have a little notebook by my bed. When I'm going to bed, I say, oh, tomorrow is so-and-so's birthday, I better not forget. I don't want to go to bed with that thought. I write it down. Oh, tomorrow I have to send an email to this person. I just write it down right then, and then I unload, put it here, and I go to bed. Because otherwise, I'm going to wake up at 3 a.m. Oh, I better not forget. Tomorrow I have to do that. So if you unload in a piece of paper, that piece of paper I can assure you, will be there for you in the morning. So we will be able to use it then. So that's a good way to unload the thoughts. I wrote here a few things that we can use for the types of meditation that we're going to do. So one of them is the journaling. It's an excellent meditation. You don't have to close your eyes. You can sit, in a quiet area, but you can do it quite awake. And you don't even need to sit still. You can move as you write. Another way to meditate is walking meditation. If you can really sit still, you can meditate as you walk. There are labyrinths that you can walk. I love labyrinths. And if you Google labyrinths in Orlando, they are here. There are many here. A labyrinth is a sacred path that churches, some communities have around, that you go for a walk, and it's not a maze. You're not going to get lost in it. As you walk, the path will be there, and then you walk to the center, and you walk out. It's an excellent way to do it. Google labyrinths. I'm not going to spend time going through it, but just going to give you that point to think about. You can go for a walk at the park and just say, today I'm just going to check colors. Oh, that grass is quite green today because it was rain. Just put it in your head, I'm going to check colors today. So you go walking with that in your mind. Okay, today I'm just going to go for smells. I'm going to go for a walk and just focus more on smells. That is an excellent way of meditating. You do not need to sit still, cross-legged, none of that. You can do other ways. A lot of the meditations are breath-based. Inhale, exhale. In yoga, there's a lot of that going on. Not everybody can do it because they get hyperventilated. They get dizzy. I have people say, I get nauseous when I do this breath the way you tell me to do. I don't want to do that. I feel weird. Don't. Today we're giving samples of options that like when you go to a Asian food fair and you're going to try Vietnamese food, Thai food, Indian food, you're just going to get a little bit of everything, and whatever resonates with you, you can explore that later. This is all we're doing today, just giving you a little sample of this and that, so we can pick whichever one resonates with you, and you can go with it. So if breathing is not your thing, I hope it is a little bit, because if you want to be here, you got to breathe. But the meditation focus on breath might not be your thing. You don't have to go there. You can just take, sometimes we're going to take 2 deep breaths, just to get regrouped, and then you can go for a walk. Breathe normal. Just breathe the way you breathe. Don't worry about that. The chakra mindful meditation, when we imagine yourself and you go through the chakras visualizing. That's a visualization kind of meditation. It's another way to do it. The present moment mindful meditation, it is super hard to do. When people say, stay wherever you are, be present wherever you are. And people say, what is that? When I'm present here, I look present, but my head is nowhere near me. It's elsewhere. But one of my favorite meditations, it's the purposeful doing. Have you seen yourself sometimes waking up earlier than usual? Let's say a Sunday morning. We wake up earlier than usual. Let's say it's 6 a.m. You get your cup of coffee or your tea or whatever works for you, and you kind of walk outside. Everybody's asleep. The kids are asleep. Everybody's asleep. There's nobody out there. And you just get your cup of coffee and you just go outside and you just walk. Sometimes you take your shoes off and you walk on the grass and you just observe. You are meditating. You are meditating. So when you just looking at your yard, and then another great way to meditate, water your plants. If you have plants and you get your hose and you start just watering your plants, before you know, you're just watering plants, and that is meditation. Sometimes you watch a child playing with a piece of paper, whatever they found, it's not even a toy. They are so there, they're purposefully playing with a cup, a spoon and a cup. And they are there, they are looking at the cup and they keep on playing. They are so fully there. They are meditating. So it is not this big thing that we don't need to go there. We can meditate from where we are. I'm going to give you guys another meditation tool right now. So everybody take one of these and pass it along. And we're going to get some music to do this. It's going to be, we're going to do this for 3 minutes. Pass one, take one, pass the other. One sheet of paper for everybody. And we're going to get some music and we're going to play. Rafael, right? Okay. All I want you guys to do, take 2 deep breaths. Do not hyperventilate. Again. I'm going to give you one instruction. You got a piece of paper in your hand. You have 2 to 3 minutes to just play with the piece of paper. Do not overthink it. Do not overthink it. Just, it's your paper. You do whatever you want to do. If you want to take deeper breaths, go ahead. If you want to just breathe normal, breathe normal. It's your thing. Okay, we're done with playing. Meditation's over. Who had tons of thoughts going on and hyperventilating and unable to stop and breathe? doctor's office, and we get a little receipt in our purse, and we kind of, you are meditating. You are unloading. You are not thinking about your mortgage. You're not thinking about waking up at 6 a.m. to go to work. None of that. You're meditating. You are unloading the big amount of thoughts in your head, one little thought at a time. You're just putting everything to rest. This is crash course, okay? So we're going to go to the next. So right here, the playing with the paper is over, but you can go home and keep doing that, okay? Just look at this for a little bit. You can breathe or not. Ah, okay, I'm sorry. I'm new to this, okay?
It's because it's recording.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Just go ahead, look at this for a little bit. You can see it on the corner? Okay. Too much water. No, I'm good. So, I might have put a little too much water here. As the time goes by, whatever the drawing was starts to disappear, right? It's the impermanence. Thoughts come and go. So that's what we need to do with them. They don't need to hang in here. The thought comes, okay, checked, you're here, stay here, push it away. So when the ability to acknowledge the thought and let it go and tell yourself, I'm going to address you a little later, I'm giving myself permission to check you and put you over here and address you a little later, you're giving yourself permission to unload so you can actually make room for that serenity that you've been praying for every day and it's not coming. So, this is a great way to do it. We know when we doodle on things, we got a little piece of paper and we get doodle, doodle, doodle. You are meditating. Hello, everybody. You've been meditating for quite some time. You just didn't know that. So this is just for us to know that everything is impermanent. Everything comes and goes. This is a cycle. Nothing is here forever. The good stuff, the bad stuff, everything goes up, everything goes down. So if you can take a breath and make peace with where you are now, this is where I am, but this too shall pass. Even that awesome party that you've been planning and you're really enjoying this will too pass. So everything is just temporary. I just wanted to talk a little bit about another alternative for people that are trying to get the thoughts that comes in. What do I do when all those thoughts take over me and I don't know what to do with them? How do I handle them? If you choose to do the meditation with closing your eyes and just trying to sit still, it is hard. It's a different alternative than what we talked about. But if you want to try that, you need to have a strategy to deal with the thoughts that will come to you. So, first things first. Give yourself permission to say, my head is full of thoughts. Yes, it is. So we need to make peace with where we are. I already worked on some strategies. You can unload on a piece of paper, you can doodle, you can play with papers, you can go for a walk. But you still want to try that sitting down with closed eyes and try to get in my serenity place right now. The thoughts will come. I can guarantee you. There's no way they're not going to be there. They will be there. They're part of who you are. So we need to find ways to check those thoughts for later. So let's say I'm here trying to meditate and I'm thinking about I'm running out of dog food. I really need to get the dog food because my dog tomorrow will have. I can't get rid of that. So this is my way of doing it. I see the thought coming and I kind of put a fog over it and I will address you later. I'm not saying don't be here because I do actually need to buy the food. So I just fog it up a little bit and I keep breathing and keep focus on where I am, just being here, observing myself. I once did a meditation with a lady who, very analytical businesswoman with a lot of spreadsheets and computer stuff. So I said, what is your strategy? She goes, oh, I visualize my desktop and I open a folder for that thought in categories. It would never work for me, but it works for her. She visualizes her desktop and she opens a file and names the file and put the thoughts in there for later. That's too complicated for me. I prefer to fog it away. You could put just in a basket or throw it in a cloud, just whatever works for you. What we're trying to do here is acknowledge that the thought is here, make peace with it, put it away for a later situation. You're going to address it later, not now. But right now, I'm giving myself 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour for every day, every month, daily, wherever we are, we're going to meet ourselves in our meditation journey, wherever we are. So these are the meditations that I hope to help you. So right now, we're going to do a 5-minute meditation. You can pick. You can close your eyes and try to fog your thoughts away, file them away. You can watch the board, or you can play with your paper, or you can just be observant of, just look at that plant and try to just find details on it. Anything but the goal is unload the thoughts so you can just be observing your thoughts. That's all we're going to do now. So for the next 5 minutes, we're going to dim the lights. I'm going to put the board up again, and you pick your point. Everybody come back here. Meditation's over. Okay, I have two things here. I don't even know which one it is, but let's try this one. Which one is this? Okay. This is the mic. Which one is the mic? I don't know. One of these is for me to push here. Okay. Okay. Oh, no, I'm looking for this. There's too many things here. Okay. Just to wrap this up. Practice makes it possible. Like anything else in life, it's practice that will get us there. Listen. We are used to talking. We are going to learn to listen. So we're going to practice listening. We're going to gather the thoughts. They're all there, but we're going to allocate them in different places, however we see fit. If we prefer to put them in clouds, we do clouds. If we want to fog them away, write them down, but we're going to unload. So we gather our thoughts, we acknowledge that they are there, and we place them in different places. And we're going to learn to sit away from the thoughts and observe. As we observe, we learn, because now we can see our patterns. We can see the ways we think, the ways we perform, the ways we react. So we're trying to learn to act based on that. And practice observing. And practice. Keep on practice. The name of this game is practice. Let's meet ourselves where we are in our meditation journey. I hope these were a few little seeds that you guys can explore a little bit, and hopefully you're going to develop your own meditation style, because we all have our own meditation style. And we always learn, and then you learn a new one, say, oh, I'm going to try this one because it sounds like I'm going to like it even better than the one I have. So wherever you are, meet yourself there and keep on going. This is Rumi, the coolest guy ever. The quieter you become, the more you are able to hear. So, to listen to ourselves, to listen to others, all it takes is one breath before we answer that question, before we unload our stuff. We're going to take a breath. It doesn't have to be a very deep one, just one breath before you answer. And let's practice listening instead of talking. So, let me not say anything right now. I'm just going to listen. Today I'm choosing to listen. That's our goal. Okay? Thank you so much for having me.